future of NERC CIP is a changing animal. It changes all the time. Each year there's new revisions. They find wording that didn't work in the previous revision. They change it for updates. We have some customers that say, well, I'm not going to do it because I don't know what the next standard is going to look like. At its core, the standards are pretty consistent as far as what they want you to do, as far as access control, antivirus, establishing your cyber assets. Those stay really consistent. It's kind of some of the frame or the boundaries around that are changing. And so if you look at focusing on the primary core of access controls and best practices, even though the reporting part of it may change or the compliance portion may change, you're going to stay pretty consistent with it. Some of the first steps that really you need to take to launch a successful program is to identify your critical cyber assets. You need to go through and come up with a repeatable methodology for your critical cyber assets, or your CCAs, and identify the assets in your plant. So what that involves is identifying all the cyber assets in your plant and then running a methodology against those CCAs to determine whether they need to be protected. And what we've seen in the past with customers is it needs to be repeatable, and it needs to be documented, and you need to be able to supply it on demand. One of the lessons we've learned over the past several years working with customers that are NERC compliant and been notified that they had to be NERC compliant is you need to start implementing the program at least around 2 years before your compliance date enforcement is. The reason we say it's a 2-year rollout is it's a timed rollout. So you need to start to implement the technologies, implement the infrastructure, and then you have to start to educate your staff on how to use the new technologies and how to implement the policies and procedures that are part of the NERC compliance program. Doing a 2-year rollout allows you to implement a program in a phased approach. And it allows your staff to get acclimated to each phase and become used to it. We've been in engagements where it was a short time frame. The technology was implemented, but the staff didn't know how to use it. And so because of this, the documentation wasn't maintained, and they fell victim to fines from not maintaining the documentation. Whereas if you use the phased approach, you're able to get your staff used to the technology, then you can teach them how to use the procedures, how to maintain the documentation. Therefore, when you're ready to implement and go live, it's in place and you're maintaining the documentation, and it lowers your exposure to fines. Working with our customers, what we've seen and what our customers are experiencing is a heavy load of documentation to maintain NERC CIP compliance. And what we've done is help our customers with that. One of the things our team takes pride in is adapting to the marketplace. And seeing this as a trouble issue for our customers, we've started to come up with a new methodology and way for our customers to maintain documentation. We've seen in engagements that staffing that was typically taking care of other functions now are being overwhelmed by taking care of not only the documentation, but really maintaining evidence that their patching systems or their AV is up to date, or their system accounts are up to date, passwords aren't expired. There's lots of tasks that have to be performed to maintain your compliance. And that is where we're seeing our customers really struggle. And that's why we've come up with a methodology that ties into a tool to help our customers maintain that compliancy in an easier way. As they go about their daily job functions, now they have a tool that when they do something, you can just tie it to the tool and it's automatically there for them to send up to the corporate compliance when they request information. Or if they add a cyber asset, it shows them the steps that are required at their level to do it. It's not at a corporate level, but it's specific to their job function. So this methodology that we've worked up is geared specifically for the control network and how to help them perform their jobs efficiently.